Chapter 532. The Frenzied Conquest of 103 Small Worlds. With Purple Paradise True Monarch's departure, the numerous martial gods and deity transformation cultivators around him wore complex expressions. Yet, none spoke. They merely watched Lin Fei in silence. Lin Fei cast a deep glance at Purple Paradise True Monarch. He knew that Purple Paradise True Monarch would never reveal who had sent him to kill Lin Fei, and Lin Fei had no means to force this information out of him. After all, even the illusory arts of the Shen could not control Purple Paradise True Monarch's mind. Thus, under the augmentation of the Saber World, Lin Fei directly shattered the void. Boom! The void fractured, revealing a spatial passage. In a flash, Lin Fei stepped into this void corridor. In the blink of an eye, he vanished without a trace. Seeing Lin Fei shatter the void and traverse space in full view, no one doubted anymore that Lin Fei had achieved the power to shatter the void. Only a true monarch could navigate through the void. Lin Fei returned to the Ancient Covenant, but the rumors about him quickly spread throughout the entire divine realm. The emergence of a true monarch was not an extraordinary event in itself. But to repel a true monarch as a martial god, and then to achieve the status of true monarch with only 5 thunder tribulations was truly legendary. Regardless of how his feats were celebrated in the outside world, Lin Fei remained indifferent. Upon returning to the Ancient Covenant, he immediately headed to the mission hall in Great Dream City. He sought more origins of the world. To achieve this, Lin Fei had to venture into numerous small worlds and plunder their origins. For this purpose, he spared no effort, even if the worlds were weak. Lin Fei was unapologetic now, because he could traverse the void and even hasten the collapse of small worlds. Therefore, even the weaker worlds would not delay Lin Fei for long. Thus, Lin Fei began a frenzied journey, constantly traversing between the small worlds and the Ancient Covenant. 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3, 4, 5. World after world, Lin Fei's figure appeared time and again. In every small world where Lin Fei emerged, all the martial gods and cultivators, as if by unspoken agreement, swiftly departed those worlds. No one dared to contest with Lin Fei. Eventually, over time, no one even sought to explore the small worlds. The 103rd small world. Lin Fei kept traveling tirelessly. In a matter of months, he had visited every known small world. And then, he could find no more small worlds. The martial gods and cultivators seemed to have understood his intent. Knowing that before transcending his tribulation, before stepping into the realm of a true monarch, Lin Fei would frenziedly plunder the origins of small worlds. Thus, they stopped searching for new worlds. After all, even if they found them, it would only serve to benefit Lin Fei. So they simply ceased their searches. Over time, when Lin Fei had looted all the existing small worlds, no new worlds were discovered. Lin Fei had no solution to this. He couldn't force these martial gods and cultivators to search for small worlds. That was simply unrealistic. And it would have taken a long time. So, Lin Fei ceased his pursuit. He understood perfection is unattainable in any endeavor. Now, having plundered the origins of 103 small worlds, plus the source from the heavenly secret realm, he had amassed even more, over 100 origins of worlds. For Lin Fei, this was nearly sufficient. For any martial god, this was an unimaginably vast amount of world origin. If Lin Fei utilized them all, he even felt confident that he could withstand 9 heavenly thunders during his 6th thunder tribulation. And do so with ease. Before undergoing his tribulation, Lin Fei harbored a crucial question. Having become a true monarch, could he still return to the ancient continent? This matter was of great importance. If he couldn't return to the ancient continent after becoming a true monarch, he would need to visit it one last time. He couldn't bear the thought of being eternally separated from his loved ones there. It seemed the Ancient Covenant was concealing information about the ancient continent. But Lin Fei couldn't find any details. After pondering, Lin Fei decided to personally visit the Great Dream Sect for answers. He went to Great Dream City and found a martial god of the Great Dream Sect. I wish to inquire about some information regarding the ancient continent. May I request an audience with the Great Dream Ancestor? Lin Fei met with Zui Yuan. He directly posed his question. Zui Yuan, a disciple under the Great Dream Ancestor, naturally had access to the Great Dream Ancestor. Zui Yuan smiled slightly and said, "Please wait a moment, true monarch." Zhui Yuan now directly addressed Lin Fei as a true monarch. Clearly, Zhui Yuan was aware of the rumors about Lin Fei. After all, one could hardly be unaware that Lin Fei had recently been too audacious, plundering over 100 small worlds, making him the foremost among all martial gods. Moreover, the news of Lin Fei repelling Purple Paradise True Monarch had already spread throughout the Divine Realm. Everyone regarded Lin Fei as a true monarch. Thank you, Zhui. Lin Fei was respectful. Though Zhui Yuan's strength was not overwhelming, his position was delicate, being able to meet directly with the Great Dream Ancestor. Anyone would be courteous in his presence. Zhui Yuan arrived at a grand hall. Inside the hall, an elderly man with white hair and a beard sat cross-legged on the floor, appearing to be in meditative rest. Zhui Yuan softly reported, "Ancestor, true monarch Lin Fei seeks an audience with you, wishing to inquire about the ancient continent." Lin Fei. Indeed, he hails from the ancient continent. It's natural for him to have some questions about it. Let him in. Yes, Ancestor. Zhui Yuan then approached Lin Fei. With a slight smile, he said, "True monarch Lin, you are fortunate. The Ancestor wishes to meet you as well. Please follow me." Thank you, Zhui. Lin Fei's heart stirred. He was finally going to meet the Great Dream Ancestor. Now, Lin Fei could practically be considered a true monarch. He had the power to shatter the void. He had no more doubts about being a true monarch. But regarding the martial ancestors, he still harbored many uncertainties. Or rather, he couldn't find the path to becoming a martial ancestor. He could only proceed step by step. But meeting a martial ancestor in person, even witnessing the Tao of a martial ancestor, might profoundly influence him. The martial ancestor Lin Fei was most hopeful of meeting was the Great Dream Ancestor. The Great Dream Ancestor was also a figure of legend. Lin Fei had been anticipating this meeting for a long time. By the way, will I meet the ancestor in person or in the Great Dream City? Lin Fei asked. Zhui Yuan smiled slightly and replied, "True monarch Lin, naturally, you'll meet the ancestor in the Great Dream City. No one can meet the ancestor's true form. The ancestor founded the Great Dream Heart Sutra. He always appears in dreams. That is to say, the ancestor perpetually wanders within dreams, even staying within dreams for millions of years. That is the ancestor's way of cultivation." Lin Fei was deeply struck by this revelation. To dwell in a dream for millions of years, did that not imply that the real-world Great Dream Ancestor was in perpetual slumber? Of course, for others, sleeping for such an extended period would not be a favorable situation. But for the Great Dream Ancestor, sleep was cultivation. The dream state was his means of cultivation. The stronger the dream, the stronger the Great Dream Ancestor became. The dream realm was the way of the Great Dream Ancestor. Of course, this was merely Lin Fei's conjecture and also a speculation shared by the outside world. The Great Dream Ancestor seldom took action, and those who knew the true extent of his capabilities were few. Thus, in the entire ancient covenant, even throughout the whole divine realm, the most mysterious martial ancestor was probably the Great Dream Ancestor. No one knew the true extent of the Great Dream Ancestor's capabilities. But once he truly took action, the Great Dream Ancestor was undoubtedly formidable. After all, the few instances he had revealed his power were terrifyingly impressive. Soon, Lin Fei, following Zhui Yuan, arrived at the mansion of the Great Dream Ancestor in Great Dream City. This was the residence of the ancestor in the city. Upon entering the Great Hall, Lin Fei immediately saw an elderly man with white hair and beard, sitting cross-legged. Seeing this elder, Lin Fei was profoundly moved. In his eyes, the elder seemed to be connected by countless threads to the entire Great Dream City, or perhaps to the entire realm of dreams. It appeared as though the elder was supporting the whole Great Dream City with his solitary strength. Chapter 533. The Secrets of the Ancient Continent. Greetings, Ancestor. Lin Fei said upon seeing the elderly figure with white hair and beard. He immediately guessed the identity of the person before him. The Great Dream Ancestor. Observing the Great Dream Ancestor, connected by so many threads, densely interwoven, supporting the entire Great Dream City, even upholding the entire realm of dreams. This terrifying power, even if it was just the power of dreams, surpassed Lin Fei's understanding. It was as if one person was upholding an entire world, even the divine realm. Was that even possible? But it seemed the Great Dream Ancestor was doing exactly that. If the Great Dream Ancestor disappeared and ceased to enter the realm of dreams, would Great Dream City still exist? For a moment, Lin Fei could somewhat understand why the Great Dream Ancestor was always in slumber. But this was the Ancestor's way of cultivation. Whoosh! The Great Dream Ancestor opened his eyes. You are Lin Fei. Good, good. With just 5 thunder tribulations, your physical body can reach the brink of shattering the void. If you transcend another tribulation, you will definitely achieve the shattering of the void. However, you must be aware that shattering the void is not everything. Your true goal is to master a complete Tao to become a martial ancestor. So, your journey is still long. The Great Dream Ancestor seemed to see right through Lin Fei. In front of the Ancestor, Lin Fei appeared to have no secrets. Lin Fei's heart tightened, and then he respectfully said, Ancestor, I have come to inquire about the ancient continent. Once I achieve the status of true monarch, will I be unable to enter the ancient continent again? This was Lin Fei's most pressing concern. Ancient continent. Given your origins from the ancient continent, it's not surprising you have such questions. Generally, once someone becomes a true monarch, they cannot enter smaller worlds anymore. The might of a true monarch is too terrifying for a small world to withstand, causing it to collapse instantly. However, not all small worlds are the same. Some small worlds can not only withstand a true monarch but even martial ancestors and true immortals. Therefore, we categorize them accordingly. Worlds that can withstand a true monarch are called true monarch-level small worlds. Those that can withstand martial ancestors and true immortals are called true immortal-level small worlds. But no matter how formidable a small world is, if it's a small world, it cannot withstand a supreme being. And a small world cannot give birth to a supreme being. Supreme beings can only be born in the divine realm. The ancient continent, as you may have heard, is the foundation of our ancient covenant. It has given birth to true immortals and martial ancestors. Therefore, the ancient continent is also a true immortal-level small world. Even if you become a martial ancestor, you can enter, let alone a true monarch. However, the ancient continent is somewhat special. As the foundation of the ancient covenant, only those with special contributions or special reasons are allowed entry. Lin Fei's eyes brightened. He understood. The ancient continent being a true immortal-level world meant he could indeed enter it. However, gaining access to the ancient continent was not so simple, with resistance coming from the ancient covenant. How exactly can I enter the ancient continent? Lin Fei asked. The Great Dream Ancestor smiled slightly and said, in fact, apart from certain special reasons, only true immortals or martial ancestors, and specifically those from our ancient covenant, can enter. But you fall under a special reason. Any martial god or deity transformation cultivator who has come to the divine realm from the ancient covenant has one opportunity to return. You just need to apply and you can return to the ancient continent. However, you only have this one chance. So, when to use this opportunity is up to you. This chance is not just about going back to settle your family matters. More importantly, the ancient continent actually harbors some secrets. Once you return to the ancient continent, you can obtain certain benefits. Therefore, this opportunity is crucial. Lin Fei understood. He could return to the ancient continent, but only once. This opportunity seemed to be tied to some secrets of the ancient continent, offering certain benefits. Thinking about it, it didn't seem surprising. The ancient continent, capable of giving birth to the Tao integration true immortals and martial ancestors, surely wasn't simple. There must be secrets. Otherwise, the ancient covenant wouldn't have so strictly sealed off the ancient continent. Once this opportunity was used to return to the ancient continent again, he would have to become a true immortal or a martial ancestor. Lin Fei fell into deep thought. He knew that if he wished, he could immediately use this opportunity to return to the ancient continent. Ancestor, can you tell me what are the benefits of the ancient continent? Lin Fei asked. The Great Dream Ancestor, with a somewhat smiling expression, said lightly, I cannot tell you. Revealing it in advance is not a good thing. But I can give you a hint. The secrets of the ancient continent are related to the Tao integration true immortals and martial ancestors. Consider your choice carefully. Lin Fei was struck by this revelation. Although the Great Dream Ancestor didn't specify, the hints were enough. The secrets of the ancient continent were related to martial ancestors and true immortals, meaning it might aid in achieving the status of martial ancestor or true immortal. Such a significant secret, no wonder the Great Dream Ancestor wouldn't disclose it. No wonder the ancient covenant so tightly guarded the ancient continent. The last time, when Dao Tai sneaked into the ancient continent, he likely didn't know this secret. It showed how closely guarded this secret was by the ancient covenant. Lin Fei pondered. He hadn't been in the divine realm for very long. All things considered, it was about a year. In just a year, he believed that the ancient continent likely hadn't undergone any major changes. Therefore, he made up his mind with determination. Lin Fei solemnly said, "Thank you, Ancestor, for resolving my doubts. I shall take my leave." "Go ahead." With a respectful farewell, Lin Fei departed. Whoosh! Lin Fei's consciousness returned, and he abruptly opened his eyes. He found himself still in his secret chamber. However, the recent events in the Great Dream City were vivid in his mind. Clearly, he had indeed met the Great Dream Ancestor. But thinking back on the state of the Great Dream Ancestor, Lin Fei felt a profound sense of mystery. The Tao. The Great Dream Ancestor's Tao may well be related to dreams. To master a complete Tao is to become a martial ancestor. Lin Fei murmured softly. Yet, he was still far from becoming a martial ancestor. Not to mention the Tao, he hadn't even acquired many laws. He currently possessed only 25 world laws. I cannot return to the ancient continent for now. At least not until I reach the pinnacle of a true monarch, or even while attempting to comprehend the Tao. Then, I can return to the ancient continent. Perhaps at that time, I can gain tremendous benefits there, paving the way to become a martial ancestor. Since I'm not going back to the ancient continent, I can start using the origins of the worlds to become a true martial, true monarch who can shatter the void. Even to continue transcending tribulations until I pass the ninth thunder tribulation. Lin Fei took a deep breath. His mind was made up. He could no longer contend for small worlds because there were no martial gods or cultivators searching for them. Should Lin Fei just wait indefinitely? That was impossible. Constantly suppressing his strength was not a solution. He needed to elevate himself when necessary. With a thought, the origins of 103 small worlds suddenly appeared before him. Chapter 534. Achieving True Monarch Status. Lin Fei was seeing such an abundance of world origins for the first time. Previously, the most he had used were from the True Spirit Realm and the Heavenly Principle Realm. He hadn't utilized the origin of the Heavenly Secret Realm that he obtained later. With so many origins at his disposal, once all were used, what level would Lin Fei's physical particles attain? Even he couldn't begin to imagine. Let's begin. Having made his decision, Lin Fei didn't hesitate any longer. Devour. Opening his mouth wide, a stream of origin instantly entered Lin Fei's mouth. Buzz. Lin Fei's physical particles began to rapidly enhance. One stream after another, seemingly endless. Lin Fei felt an unparalleled exhilaration. He had never experienced such an immense amount of origin. His physical body, like a sponge, fervently absorbed the origin. Doubling, tripling, quadrupling, quintupling. Lin Fei's physical particles were expanding, rapidly increasing to several times, even more than 10 times their previous capacity. And it wasn't over yet. The amount of origin Lin Fei had was quickly depleting. The origins of 103 small worlds seemed abundant, but as Lin Fei's body started absorbing them at full capacity, they seemed not as plentiful. In the blink of an eye, the origins of the 103 small worlds vanished without a trace, entirely absorbed by Lin Fei's body. Whoosh! Lin Fei opened his eyes. At that moment, he felt the transformation. A brand new metamorphosis. His power had already reached the brink of shattering the void. So, when a strand of origin slightly enhanced his physical particles, Lin Fei felt this metamorphosis. However, Lin Fei had already experienced this transformation under the augmentation of the Saber world, so he wasn't too surprised. Is this what it means to shatter the void? Lin Fei murmured softly. With a casual flick of his finger, he pointed outward. Pop! The void shattered. Incredibly magical. It's noteworthy that Lin Fei hadn't even used the power of the particle worlds within him. But now, every movement of his physical particles could break the surrounding void. This was the true shattering of the void. At this moment, Lin Fei had become an authentic martial true monarch. Having become a true monarch, Lin Fei could feel the constant constraints and limitations of the divine realm. It was as if he was living in water. Resistance came from all directions, highly uncomfortable. This differed from the illusory true monarch. Void transformation true monarchs comprehend the secrets of the void. Thus, they merge with the void, like fish in water, quite comfortable. Void transformation true monarchs are comfortable, but martial true monarchs feel the external constraints heavily, desperately wishing to break free. This is the fundamental difference between the martial and immortal paths. The immortal path emphasizes harmony with nature, merging with the world, complementing each other. But the martial Tao is different. It focuses on internalizing all might and power. When one's own strength reaches a certain level, it will inevitably conflict with the external world, or even be repelled by it. Hence the concept of shattering the void. If the void constrains, then shatter it completely. Boom. With a thought from Lin Fei, the surrounding void instantly shattered, revealing a spatial passage. Lin Fei stepped forward, entering the spatial passage. This wasn't Lin Fei's first time entering a spatial passage, but the experience felt the same. Within the spatial passage, layers of pressure continuously compressed and repelled Lin Fei. However, the only difference was that Lin Fei had to rely on the augmentation of the saber world to barely withstand the pressure of the spatial passage. But now, things were different. Lin Fei had broken his shackles. His physical strength had reached the point of shattering the void. Thus, regardless of the pressure in the spatial passage, Lin Fei's body would not suffer any harm. Therefore, Lin Fei could now travel through spatial passages for a long time. Let's see how far I can traverse. Lin Fei was curious to test his limits. So, he took a step forward in the spatial passage. Boom. With a single step, Lin Fei faced even greater pressure, but he could withstand it. So, he took a second step. The pressure increased further. The third step, the fourth, the fifth, sixth, seventh. Lin Fei endured the immense pressure. By the 10th step, his physical body began to crumble inch by inch, reaching his limit. Saber World. The next moment, Lin Fei invoked the Saber World. Instantly, the pressure on him diminished slightly. So he proceeded to the 11th step, 12th, 13th. Approximately, Lin Fei could only manage 13 steps. Having reached his limit, Lin Fei didn't force himself further. He stepped out of the spatial passage. Buzz. Ripples of void spread out in all directions. When Lin Fei emerged, he found himself in a boundless, lifeless desert. This place, or what is it? Lin Fei thought to himself and immediately inquired about the Great Dream City. Finally, he got the answer. The Great Wilderness. Completely devoid of life. A forbidden zone for living beings. Even possessing invisible rules that oppress any form of life. Not being a true monarch, stepping into the Great Wilderness means certain death. Lin Fei indeed felt the oppression of these rules. But he could bear it. This was one of the Divine Realm's unique forbidden lands, the Great Wilderness. As for the distance to the Ancient Covenant, it was immeasurably far. Despite this, Lin Fei had taken 13 steps in the spatial passage, yet still hadn't reached the end of the Divine Realm. The Divine Realm was simply too vast. To instantly reach every corner of the Divine Realm, Lin Fei felt it was too difficult even for a true monarch. Perhaps only a Tao integration true immortal or martial ancestor could instantly appear in every corner of the Divine Realm. Lin Fei then swiftly traversed space, returning to the Ancient Covenant and back to his secret chamber. Nearly there, my physical particles alone have reached the level of shattering the void. If I can obtain world laws and create particle worlds, my strength will likely surge dramatically. I might even be able to transcend several thunder tribulations in succession. I just wonder how many thunder tribulations I can ultimately pass. A spark of determination flashed in Lin Fei's eyes. This time, gaining so much origin had significantly enhanced his strength. Only by creating particle worlds could he fully unleash the effects of these origins. Let's begin transcending the tribulation, the sixth thunder tribulation. Lin Fei didn't hesitate any longer. His figure flashed and he instantly left his residence, heading towards the tribulation grounds in the ancient city. At this moment, the tribulation grounds were bustling with people. It seemed that many martial gods were inspired by Lin Fei, all striving to advance and eagerly attempting their tribulations. Thus, there were many more people than before. Whoosh! When Lin Fei arrived at the tribulation grounds, he witnessed such a scene. "True monarch Lin, you've finally arrived." You knew I would come." Lin Fei raised an eyebrow, a bit puzzled. The martial god at the tribulation grounds smiled and said, "True monarch Lin, you have acquired the origins of over 100 worlds. Coming to transcend the tribulation was only a matter of time, wasn't it?" Lin Fei nodded. Indeed, this was not a secret. Anyone observant could easily guess this. "All right, is there a place for transcending the tribulation?" "Of course, we have reserved a spot for true monarch Lin." Thus, under the guidance of the martial god, Lin Fei stepped into the formation again. Chapter 535. The Sixth Thunder Tribulation. Lin Fei shatters 3 heavenly thunders with a single punch. The Grand Unity True Immortal, a venerable being, suddenly uttered a soft eek. Lin Fei is undergoing tribulation again. But he's plundered the origins of 103 small worlds. He's causing quite a stir. The great dream ancestor may seem silent, but in fact, he's quite protective. He's already subtly intimidated many other powers. Last time, Lin Fei attracted 7 heavenly thunders. This time, isn't it going to be 9? It seems I really need to keep an eye on this. We can't have the tribulation grounds destroyed again. The gaze of the Grand Unity True Immortal pierced through layers of space, watching the tribulation grounds. If even the Grand Unity True Immortal was paying attention to Lin Fei's tribulation, what about other powers and mighty beings? Many true monarchs were watching, especially the martial true monarchs. Lin Fei's continuation of tribulation after becoming a true monarch surprised them. They had reached a standstill on the path of the true monarch, even unable to find a way forward. Observing Lin Fei might bring them some inspiration. Thus, Lin Fei's tribulation this time was the center of attention. At this moment, Lin Fei was in the midst of the formation at the tribulation grounds. He could feel it as if many eyes were focused on him. There were also some more discreet gazes, all fixed on the tribulation grounds. True immortal or martial ancestor. Lin Fei looked up at the void. He couldn't see anything, but he could feel the gaze upon him. This was the difference in realms. Martial ancestors, true immortals. These represented a whole new level of life's ascension. True immortals and those below are entirely different realms. Even martial gods and true monarchs don't signify a transformation in life. But reaching the level of a true immortal or martial ancestor, that's a true elevation. Lin Fei disregarded the myriad gazes upon him. Instead, he cleared his mind of all distractions and jumbled thoughts. He didn't need lofty ambitions now. What he needed to do was to transcend the tribulation. To pass the Sixth Thunder Tribulation. To acquire enough world laws to create more particle worlds. Only then could he rapidly enhance his strength. Let's begin. Lin Fei took a deep breath, then looked towards the void. He seemed to see again that vast sea of origin in the void. It was the same as before, no different. Without hesitation, Lin Fei's consciousness dived familiarly into the sea of origin, beginning to plunder the first world law. Boom. The next moment, the first heavenly thunder appeared. A white lightning bolt thunderously struck down, directly hitting Lin Fei's physical body. Lin Fei made no move, allowing the thunder to strike him. Surprisingly, his body sustained no damage. He didn't even feel the power of the first heavenly thunder. It could only be said that Lin Fei's physical body was now incredibly strong, so strong that even the first heavenly thunder left no impression on him. Lin Fei's consciousness continued to engage with the sea of origin. However, knowing the strength of his physical body, he didn't plunder the laws one by one. Instead, he directly seized 3 world laws at once. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, 3 heavenly thunders struck down in the void. They were the second, third, and fourth purple heavenly thunders. All 3 thunders striking simultaneously, including the formidable fourth purple thunder, was an immensely powerful sight. Those watching from outside the tribulation grounds were dumbfounded. They had never seen such a scene before. 3 heavenly thunders were summoned all at once. Good heavens, what is true monarch Lin doing? Summoning 3 heavenly thunders at once, including the 4th purple thunder, increasing the power tenfold. Isn't true monarch Lin being overly confident? Can he really handle 3 thunders simultaneously? Even if Lin Fei is now a true monarch instead of a martial god, this way of transcending tribulation seems a bit too arrogant. I'm afraid true monarch Lin will suffer. The heavenly thunders are not so easy to transcend, especially one after another. Many were shocked, but they thought Lin Fei was being too presumptuous. Even though Lin Fei was strong, they felt he shouldn't be this overconfident. However, they were unaware of Lin Fei's current state. When Lin Fei saw the 3 heavenly thunders descending from the void, a smile even appeared on his face. He had no intention of letting the thunders strike. Instead, he extended his right hand. Boom! Lin Fei actually threw a punch directly at the 3 descending heavenly thunders in the void. Lin Fei actively used his pure physical strength to strike the 3 thunders. But could pure physical strength impact the 3 heavenly thunders? Is true monarch Lin planning to obliterate the 3 thunders directly? This is an unimaginable way to transcend tribulation. Such a method of transcending tribulation is unheard of. To destroy the heavenly thunders. Everyone was astounded, all eyes fixed on the 3 bolts of lightning in the void. At that moment, as the 3 thunders descended, it was as if they encountered an invisible force in midair, striking them fiercely. The thunders shook slightly and then completely disintegrated. Vanished. The 3 heavenly thunders disappeared just like that. Silence. The area around the tribulation grounds was utterly quiet. Even in the void, a few powerful gazers seemed surprised. Transcending tribulation so effortlessly and obliterating 3 heavenly thunders with a single punch was unprecedented. Everyone was agape, utterly stunned. Even the most composed individuals couldn't maintain their composure at this moment. Is this the power of a martial true monarch? A true monarch, a martial true monarch, has such immense strength in just one punch. Indeed, true monarchs and martial gods are different. Martial gods endure the thunder strikes, exerting all their strength just to withstand the power. But a true monarch transcending tribulation obliterates the thunders with a single punch. Such a method of transcending tribulation is probably unparalleled in history, and it might be difficult for anyone to achieve such a feat in the future. Truly worthy of being true monarch Lin, who could fight an illusory true monarch as a martial god. His strength is even more formidable than a regular true monarch, isn't it? Some martial gods even reminisced about their own tribulations, comparing themselves to Lin Fei. They felt a heavy sense of disparity. If they had tried this, they would have been pulverized by the heavenly thunders. What Lin Fei did seemed simple, but the terrifying strength required could only be achieved by a martial true monarch. Can this really be done? Not only were others shocked, but even Lin Fei himself was surprised. He had just wanted to test it out to see if he could obliterate 3 heavenly thunders with a single punch with his current strength. Unexpectedly, he succeeded in destroying them. Of course, the main reason was that he didn't feel any threat from these thunders, which gave him the courage to act so boldly. But the next phase wouldn't be the same. Lin Fei was about to face the 5th thunder, the blood-red thunder capable of freezing a warrior's physical body. Boom. Finally, the 5th blood-red thunder descended. Lin Fei felt a hint of threat. So, this time, he didn't act recklessly. Instead, he quietly waited for the 5th thunder to strike. However, when the 5th blood-red thunder struck, Lin Fei's expression suddenly changed. He vaguely realized something was different. The 5th thunder had changed. It was mixed with the power of the 6th and even the 7th thunder. What's going on? Lin Fei was puzzled. He had a feeling that something had happened, causing a change in his tribulation. Chapter 536. The Transformation of Heavenly Thunder. True Monarch Level Thunder. Danger. The 5th, 6th, and 7th heavenly thunders descended together, and Lin Fei immediately sensed the peril. He quickly attuned his consciousness and found that when he seized the 5th law, 2 additional laws unexpectedly emerged. That meant he inadvertently plundered 7 laws at once, causing 3 thunders to descend simultaneously. However, Lin Fei had never intended to seize 3 laws at once. There must have been a problem somewhere. But this wasn't the time to investigate. Lin Fei had no time for deep inquiries. Saber World. Lin Fei immediately deployed the Saber World. But as the three thunders descended, especially the seventh thunder, it was like a colossal pillar of light, similar to a massive mountain, falling directly. It was an incredibly shocking sight. Many were surprised, but upon seeing the giant pillar of light, they were at a loss for words. True monarch Lin is facing the fifth, sixth, and even seventh thunder all at once. Lin Fei's strength, how powerful has it become? Facing the fifth, sixth, and seventh thunders simultaneously. Maybe this is what being a true monarch means. Many didn't suspect an anomaly with the heavenly thunders. They simply thought Lin Fei was confident enough to transcend the fifth, sixth, and seventh thunders together. But only Lin Fei knew there was an unpredictable twist in his tribulation. However, investigating this had no use now. Lin Fei focused intently, trying to use the Saber World to block these three thunders. But when the thunder struck, pop! Almost instantly, Lin Fei's Saber World shattered. It seemed to have hardly any defensive effect. After all, it was the simultaneous descent of the fifth, sixth, and seventh thunders. The seventh thunder, a vast column of light, enveloped Lin Fei entirely and even covered the entire tribulation grounds. It was fortunate that the Grand Unity True Immortal had reinforced the tribulation grounds last time. Otherwise, this strike would have completely destroyed the tribulation area and even shaken the entire ancient city. As Lin Fei's Saber World shattered, his physical body was engulfed by the three thunders. However, the thunders that threatened Lin Fei, once they entered his body, seemed to have plunged into a quagmire. The strength of Lin Fei's physical particles was astonishingly formidable. The thunderous energy that penetrated his body struggled to advance and was constantly being eroded. Lin Fei hadn't even needed to use the power of his 2,600 particle worlds. The three thunders were completely annihilated by his physical particles and vanished without a trace. Even Lin Fei was slightly taken aback, finding it almost unbelievable. His particles hadn't even been destroyed by a fraction. Did I just withstand the seventh thunder? Lin Fei had initially felt in danger, but now, where was the danger? His physical body was even stronger than he had imagined. Even the assault of three thunders simultaneously couldn't affect his physical particles. It seemed that Lin Fei's consumption of the origins of 103 small worlds was not in vain. It had qualitatively enhanced his physical body. With the seventh thunder gone, Lin Fei finally had a chance to breathe. He didn't immediately proceed to the eighth thunder. Although at the beginning of the tribulation, Lin Fei had planned to withstand all 9 thunders of his 6th tribulation, the unexpected changes in the thunders had just occurred. Lin Fei needed to understand how these changes came about. Would there be more such surprises? If the 8th and 9th thunders were to descend simultaneously, Lin Fei could be in danger. Therefore, it was crucial to ascertain the cause. Focusing his attention, Lin Fei's consciousness returned to the Sea of Origin. He reflected on what had changed during his previous foray into the sea to plunder the laws. Upon careful recollection, Lin Fei pinpointed the cause. Previously, he had inadvertently plundered 3 laws simultaneously while transcending the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th thunders. This act unintentionally brought down 3 heavenly thunders at once, leading to the simultaneous appearance of the 5th, 6th, and 7th thunders. Fortuitously, Lin Fei's current physical prowess was vastly superior, reaching the true level of a martial true monarch, and even beyond the ordinary martial true monarchs. Otherwise, the situation could have been dire. Now that he knew the reason, Lin Fei became even more cautious. He still needed to attract the 8th thunder. Therefore, he carefully controlled his consciousness to seize just one world law, fully aware of the impending challenge. The 8th heavenly thunder was a rarely attempted and nearly undocumented tribulation in the vast history of the divine realm. Its nature remained unknown to all. Soon, Lin Fei witnessed the formation of a massive cloud in the void, an imposing cloud that looked almost like an enormous eye from afar. An invisible pressure descended upon the entire ancient city, causing even those not undergoing tribulation to feel apprehensive. Clearly, this 8th thunder would possess a more terrifying force than the 7th. Once it struck, it was bound to be a cataclysmic event of unimaginable power. At that moment, the dark cloud seemed to be brewing, accumulating energy. Streaks of lightning flashed, heralding the descent of the 8th heavenly thunder. Unlike the previous thunders, this one was not a massive pillar of light but a mere streak of lightning. Yet, this very streak, upon flashing, shattered the void. Crack. The void fractured as if a smooth mirror had been densely covered with cracks. This was the shattering of the void. Witnessing this, Lin Fei's heart sank. The shattering of the void was proof of the immense power of the Eighth Thunder. It was capable of shattering the void, comparable to the might of a true monarch. This was a true monarch-level thunder. Indeed, such a thunder had never been documented before. The Seventh Thunder could be withstood by a sufficiently strong martial god. But the Eighth Thunder was different. It transcended a limit, breaking a critical point. It was no longer a force that a martial god could contend with. This was the power of a true monarch level. Only a true monarch could withstand it. Anyone below that level, facing the Eighth Thunder, would undoubtedly perish. And this was just the Eighth Thunder. The Ninth Thunder would likely be even more terrifying. No wonder there was no record of the Eighth and Ninth Thunders in the history of the Divine Realm. They exceeded the limits of a martial god. Invoking the Eighth and Ninth Thunders was almost a suicidal act for a martial god. But Lin Fei was not a martial god. He was a true monarch, a genuine martial true monarch. Facing the Eighth Thunder, Lin Fei's eyes sparkled with determination. Boom. The next moment, the Eighth Thunder struck Lin Fei directly. Chapter 537. Transcending all 9 heavenly thunders. Lin Fei was fully prepared. When the Eighth Thunder struck him, the Saber World's light flickered briefly. Facing a thunder with the might to shatter the void, a true monarch-level force, his Saber World offered no resistance and shattered instantly. The thunderous force broke through the Saber World and hit Lin Fei's physical body directly. Lin Fei's physical particles were strong, but facing a true monarch-level thunder, half of them were obliterated in an instant. Pop. Almost 50% of his physical particles were annihilated. Boom. The power of Lin Fei's 2,600 particle worlds erupted, along with the strength of his physical particles, overwhelming the Eighth Thunder. The two forces clashed continuously. Gradually, the remnants of the thunderous force within Lin Fei's body dissipated. Matching a true monarch-level force, Lin Fei's physical body proved to be stronger. Thus, he withstood the Eighth Thunder. This scene, witnessed by all, did not bring them joy but rather a sense of solemnity. They had anticipated Lin Fei could withstand the Eighth Thunder. Even a true monarch-level thunder paled in comparison to Lin Fei's strength after acquiring the origins of 103 small worlds. He was no ordinary true monarch. Now, their focus was on one thing: could Lin Fei transcend the Ninth Thunder? What would happen if he did? In history, there has never been a record of a martial god transcending the Ninth Heavenly Thunder, nor what changes it might bring. Therefore, no one knew what would happen once the Ninth Thunder was transcended, or if anything would happen at all. This uncertainty fueled everyone's anticipation. However, whether Lin Fei would attempt to transcend the Ninth Thunder was unknown. At this moment, Lin Fei was indeed weighing his options. He had just checked his condition. Although it seemed like 50% of his particles were annihilated, his physical body's recovery ability had greatly improved. Even the obliterated particles could be restored in the blink of an eye. Still, attempting the Ninth Thunder remained risky. No one knew how terrifying it would be. Historically, no one had ever withstood all 9 thunders in one tribulation. Should Lin Fei manage to do so, to completely transcend a tribulation, he was eager to discover what changes it might bring. Thus, he was tempted to try. Let it be, such an opportunity is rare. It's not easy to obtain the origins of 103 small worlds. If I don't dare to invoke the Ninth Thunder after absorbing so many origins, I probably won't have any hope of doing so in the future. I must try, no matter what. Lin Fei made up his mind. Despite the risks, he felt the venture was necessary. Moreover, he was not the same as before. Even if the Ninth Thunder was unexpectedly powerful, it would be difficult to annihilate him completely. After all, he was now a true monarch, a martial Dao true monarch at that, not so easily destroyed. Having made his decision, Lin Fei had no reason to hesitate any longer. Let's begin. Lin Fei took a deep breath and once again plunged his consciousness into the Sea of Origin, seizing a law. This time, he seized approximately 9 laws in one go, almost the limit of laws that can be obtained in a single tribulation. At most, one can only obtain 9 laws in a tribulation. boon. The next moment, the ninth thunder was invoked. The ninth thunder, like the eighth, was fleeting, with unimaginable speed, virtually invisible to the naked eye. Lin Fei's saber world was condensed to the extreme, not even covering his entire body but focused into a cluster over his head, since the thunder struck from above. Concentrating the saber world's power to its peak was a strategy, but even at its zenith, it seemed futile. Lin Fei saw a flash of lightning in the void, followed by a massive crack. This was another shattering of the void, proof that the ninth thunder was also a true monarch-level thunder, with destructive power far exceeding the eighth. Pop! The thunder struck, and Lin Fei's concentrated saber world, attempting to block the ninth thunder, disintegrated instantly, almost effortlessly shattered. Then, the ninth thunder struck Lin Fei's physical body. At that instant, Lin Fei acted. His 2,600 particle worlds erupted powerfully, like a massive torrent, colliding with the ninth thunder. This was Lin Fei's utmost effort, deploying all his methods to withstand the ninth thunder. The eruption of 2,600 particle worlds was indeed earth-shattering, but a single thunderous light tore through Lin Fei's defense, shattering his torrential outburst. Although this significantly weakened the thunder, a substantial amount of its power remained. This remaining thunderous energy began annihilating Lin Fei's physical particles. Despite Lin Fei's physical particles possessing true monarch strength, they were rapidly obliterated. However, during this process, the thunderous energy also depleted significantly. It became a pure contest of attrition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In a blink, Lin Fei's physical body suffered a loss of 80% of its particles. Yet, the power of the heavenly thunder was not fully exhausted. It seemed there was still a significant amount of thunderous energy left, enough to obliterate Lin Fei's remaining 20% of physical particles. For a moment, Lin Fei appeared to be in deep crisis. However, at that instant, he took a deep breath and commanded firmly, physical recovery. Following his command, the remaining 20% of his particles visibly began to replicate at an astonishing rate. One after another, Lin Fei's particle count rapidly increased. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Almost instantly, his physical particles had recovered to 80% of their original level. Even as the remaining thunderous energy erupted, furiously attempting to obliterate Lin Fei's physical particles, Lin Fei's particle count remained around 50%, even after the last trace of thunderous energy was spent. This demonstrated Lin Fei's formidable strength, or rather, the power of a true monarch. Compared to void transformation true monarchs, martial Dao true monarchs' main disadvantage lies in their survivability. However, martial true monarchs have their strengths, notably in recovery. After becoming a true monarch, Lin Fei discovered that each of his particles possessed incredibly robust vitality. They could replicate up to 10 times instantaneously. Even if only 10% of his particles remained, he could quickly recover. As long as the opponent couldn't obliterate his particles instantly, his ability to replicate would keep him alive. However, if the thunderous energy could annihilate particles faster than Lin Fei could regenerate them, it could still obliterate him completely. Unfortunately for the thunder, the last bit of its energy was insufficient to fully annihilate Lin Fei's particles. Therefore, when the last bit of thunderous energy dissipated, Lin Fei sensed something and looked up. He felt that something unusual might be happening after transcending the ninth thunder. The Sea of Origin seemed to be brewing something. Chapter 538. The Secret of 9 Heavenly Thunders. Everyone waited in silence. The area outside the tribulation grounds suddenly became eerily quiet. Lin Fei had successfully transcended all 9 thunders, meaning he had completely passed his 6th tribulation. The tribulation ceased not by his choice, but because the thunder itself had vanished. Continuing to seize laws would initiate the 7th tribulation, so Lin Fei also stopped. Many speculated that completely transcending a tribulation, meaning withstanding all 9 thunders, might bring unexpected rewards. But what these rewards could be, no one knew, as nobody had witnessed it before. Lin Fei, too, waited quietly, sensing that the Sea of Origin was brewing something. Time passed slowly, and Lin Fei remained patient, calm, and collected. He was certain that whatever was brewing in the Sea of Origin had to be beneficial. After all, what could be worse than facing the tribulation? The worst was behind him. Swoosh! Suddenly, the Sea of Origin trembled. At the same time, a burst of seven-colored brilliance shot out from within, enveloping Lin Fei. Whoosh! Everyone was astounded. They all witnessed the seven-colored light, their excitement palpable. There really is something happening. Withstanding 9 thunders brings an unexpected reward. What could it be? What is this seven-colored light? Perhaps only true monarch Lin can know. Curiosity and anticipation filled the eyes of the onlookers, eager to know the significance of the seven-colored light. Only Lin Fei knew the answer. When the light enveloped him, he found himself in a fantastical illusion. A fantasy. Lin Fei, familiar with illusions due to his control over Shen and his ability to manipulate minds with illusions, instantly became alert. However, this illusion did not seem to have any intent to control Lin Fei's mind. In this illusion, he was surrounded by darkness. Then, suddenly, a dazzling light appeared, along with a powerful force spreading in all directions, dispelling the darkness around him. What appeared before Lin Fei was a vast, primitive world devoid of life. Laws, rules, and origins of the world were all exposed in the void without any order, making the world seem incredibly unstable, as if it could collapse at any moment. Is this the process of a world's birth? The very beginning of a world? Lin Fei pondered. Is this because I plundered world laws? So, having withstood the 9 thunders, I get to experience the birth of a world to deepen my understanding of world laws. After all, world laws are intrinsically related to the creation of a world. Lin Fei had an epiphany. He began to understand what the seven-colored light signified. Soon, the light disappeared, and Lin Fei opened his eyes. Creating a world. He couldn't help but feel enlightened by this experience, deepening his understanding of world laws and the concept of Tao. Lin Fei knew that his ultimate goal was to comprehend the Tao of the world. To master a complete Tao, he still had a long way to go. This time, it was only the beginning of a world's birth. So, if I withstand 9 thunders again, might I witness a complete world formation next time? Lin Fei pondered, contemplating the potential implications of his newfound insights and experiences. Lin Fei held a sense of anticipation in his heart. The birth of a world is not merely a simple event. Many worlds collapse soon after their creation. After its birth, a world needs stabilization, which requires world laws, rules, order, and so on. Lin Fei still had much to learn about these aspects. Experiencing them firsthand would undoubtedly accelerate his understanding. Eventually, mastering a complete Tao might not be out of reach. The seven-colored light provided Lin Fei with an opportunity for profound insight, although it didn't significantly enhance his strength, certainly not as much as acquiring an additional law would have. However, for the ambition of becoming a martial ancestor, understanding the Tao is essential, even mandatory. Moreover, Lin Fei's strength had already increased considerably with the acquisition of 9 laws. If he were to create particle worlds with them, he would have 900 particle worlds. These would be created under the condition of his greatly enhanced particles, making their power far exceed his previous 2,600 particle worlds. As Lin Fei left the formation and opened the gate, countless eyes instantly focused on him. Their gazes were filled with shock, envy, and admiration. True monarch Lin has emerged. Can you tell us, after withstanding 9 thunders, what was the seven-colored light? Yes, what benefits did that light bring? Withstanding 9 thunders must bring unimaginable benefits. Many were curious about what Lin Fei gained after withstanding the 9 thunders. So far in history, he was the only one who had managed to withstand all 9 thunders in a single tribulation. Lin Fei glanced at the crowd. The benefits of the seven-colored light, although significant, were his secret to keep. The Tao should not be carelessly shared. Would he really reveal such knowledge so easily? If they truly wished to know, they would have to exchange something valuable for it. So, Lin Fei declared in a firm voice, if someone possesses the saber worlds, bring 10 of them. In exchange, I will reveal what the seven-colored light signifies. With that, he stepped forward, transforming into a streak of light and vanishing from sight. What, 10 saber worlds? Where can we find 10 saber worlds? For martial gods, acquiring saber worlds is not difficult. But even if we know this secret, what's the use? Can anyone else withstand 9 heavenly thunders? Indeed, even if we know, it's meaningless. Not everyone can withstand 9 thunders. Knowing it would just add a bit more to our secret knowledge. Many shook their heads. They weren't interested in chasing this spectacle. Knowing the secret wouldn't help their own strength, so why bother seeking out saber worlds? However, the news of Lin Fei withstanding 9 thunders and the emergence of the 7-colored light, along with the unexpected benefits he received, spread quickly. The news was too sensational to ignore. Withstanding 9 thunders in a single tribulation was unheard of. Furthermore, people understood that starting from the 8th thunder, the difficulty level reached that of a true monarch. Below that level, attempting to invoke the 8th thunder was almost certain death. In this regard, Lin Fei contributed to the understanding of the martial god's tribulation process.